Hey guys, welcome to my garage. Here today, I got the special treat of riding my dad's 2014 BMW R1200GS. Now this particular model, he got fully loaded except for the spoked wheels. He has every option available on the GS, including the navigation system. I'll get into that later. But this particular model is the first water-cooled GS that they put out. So one more thing about this bike, it's powered by the 1200cc boxer unit, and it's producing 125 horsepower and 92 foot-pounds. Exhaust you'll be hearing in a minute is the didnt SBK slip-on exhaust. Sounds pretty good in my opinion. Let me know what you think. This review is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to give you an overview of the bike. A lot of the riding was done with the GoPro attached to my head, so I'm going to have to do some voiceover work and work it out a little bit. So it might be a little bit of a different review, but we'll try it out. So some of the options that came with the bike, he opted for the alloy wheels, which I think actually look really good. I don't like the spoked wheels as much. He doesn't have the engine bars yet. That'll be an added option. It has the height adjustable seat, so even I could ride it. Someone about 5'6", 5'7" can ride it. Not very comfortably, but yeah. Here's where it gets a little bit complicated. So over here we have like your trip and info. I'll turn on the bike so you can see what they do. So if you toggle trip, there's your odometer on the top. Yeah. And then the bottom for info, it's this bottom one. It cycles through your engine temperature, your miles per gallon, your speed, your average speed I think, your tire pressure, the date, the external temperature outside, the engine temperature, because there's no bar. You'll notice there's no bar over here to tell you the engine temperature. It's more accurate, but I don't know if I like it. If you look on this, you see the letters ESA. What that does is if you toggle it, it goes through normal mode, hard mode. This is all settings for the suspension. So for soft, that would be for like big potholes around town. Normal mode would just be everyday riding, maybe canyon carving. Then sport mode would really be for, or the hard mode would be really some hardcore riding there. And it also has, if you look at the helmet, there's one helmet, and then there's another helmet. You can't illuminate it right now, but there's another helmet and a baggage. So you can actually select if you have one person riding on the back and luggage. You can select that, and the ESA will automatically adjust the rear shock for the optimum weight distribution and damper rates and everything. So it's a really cool system, and it really does work. My dad rides with 2-up a lot. So another cool feature about this bike, it has electronic cruise control, toggled by this switch right here. It works really, really well. The engine responds really well to it when you hit the accelerate button. So yeah, that's a really, really cool feature. It's really modern. Turn signals are right there. So there's a wheel on the steering, or on the handlebar over here, that actually controls the information screen for the GPS. I'm rotating it right now, and it is going through. So if you want it to go home, there you go. You can control it all from this wheel right here. When you jump on the R1200GS around town, it's a very civilized and refined bike. Very smooth power band that's very progressive as you go through rev range. But you get a lot of low-end grunt, which is really good for around town, making short passes and whatnot. In terms of riding around town, it's very, very easy to handle. Even me being 5'6", all the controls are very intuitive. The turn signals cancel on will. Everything is just very, very user-friendly and easy to deal with on the road. Right now, the ESA is in normal mode, and it's actually soaking up these bumps very, very well around the town. The GS's 1200cc liquid-cooled motor packs a really, really big punch compared to the previous years, as you can see. I can easily pass anyone in any gear, and there's torque starting from about 1500 to 2000 RPM. It's a really, really great touring bike. It's very comfortable. As you can see, this road is pretty smooth, but there are some potholes and bumps on it, but it's soaking them all up very, very nicely, and it's very, very refined in terms of power delivery, in terms of handling. There aren't any vibrations, no rattles from the chassis. As you can see by this clip, you can just kind of throw on the throttle and it'll take off and do whatever you please. So one thing that really impressed me about this motor was how freely it feels like it wants to rev. It kind of, when you kind of open the throttle, it really just revs up. There's no hesitation in the motor. It's very quick to rev up, and that's one thing that really impressed me about this motor. Also, how smooth the power comes on. I thought it was going to be very torquey and very punchy in the low end like the previous iterations were, but that wasn't the case. It was a very progressive and very smooth power band, which is what I love about this bike. Keep in mind though, this motor does have actually more torque than the previous air-cooled model. It has 92 foot-pounds of torque instead of 85. So one thing I forgot to mention about this bike was that the stability control and traction control system have many different settings, such as rain, road, dynamic, enduro, and enduro pro. And these are all for various riding conditions that you can encounter when riding the GS. Enduro pro and enduro mode definitely change the torque band a lot more, and it's more for off-roading. The next thing is the riding position. As you can see, I'm a very short person and I can easily reach the handlebars. It's not a big struggle for me to reach the handlebars. The seat is pretty narrow, but despite being narrow, it's very comfortable. The windshield provides ample protection from wind buffeting. The riding position is very upright and very comfortable. You can have really good visibility. You're not kind of hunching over the tank as you would a sports bike. So my dad, the reason why he bought this bike was he owned 3 GSs prior to this bike, and when BMW said they were coming out with a water-cooled model, he jumped on the opportunity because he loves the idea of BMW switching over to a water-cooled setup. And one problem he found with the other bikes was when you were at stop signs with the old GSs, the bike kind of translated back and forth because the pistons didn't feel like they were working together. They kind of created this back and forth vibration, and that kind of made it uncomfortable. There are 2 major improvements over the last generation R1200GS, one being the fly-by-wire throttle system instead of a cable throttle system, the other being a very lightweight clutch. These paired together make a very great touring experience and very fun bike to ride. This is one of those bikes that I could ride for hours because of the throttle system and the clutch system. I never get tired. My arms never get tired of using the clutch and the throttle like over and over again. It's just a very comfortable riding position. All in all, I think it's the best touring bike on the market today. BMW has really stepped up their game with this model GS. I think it beats out all the other competition from Ducati, Suzuki, all of the other touring bike makers. This bike really is the top of the segment, I believe. One other feature about this bike that I really like is the way it handles. It's very neutral in corners. You can get on the throttle very fast. It doesn't understeer much. The front end just wants to dive into the corner and you're leaning pretty far over, or it seems like you're leaning very far over for a touring bike. It's actually one of the easiest bikes I have ever ridden. My dad also has a K1200S and I own a Suzuki Bandit. I think this bike is actually easier to take corners on than both of those bikes. Just because of the upright riding position and the way this thing handles. Now, I'm not saying this bike can handle any of the bikes on the market, like sports bikes and everything, but I'm saying it's a very good handling touring bike for what it is. It's very heavy, it's very top heavy, but yet it still feels like the center of gravity is very low and it responds very well to hard cornering. I think the R1200GS has a complete domination over the touring segment of the motorcycle market. I can imagine eating mile after mile on this bike, just enjoying the scenery, just soaking up everything around me, because this bike is not taxing at all to drive. You can enjoy your surroundings, you can enjoy the experience of riding it, you can just enjoy everything about it, and that's what I think this bike is great at. It's good at putting a smile on your face, it's good at letting you have a good time while staying well within the speed limit. It's not one of those bikes that you have to go crazy all out speeding with. It's not that kind of bike. You buy this bike for the comfort, the touring capabilities, the power, the whole entire package. This car is a very well packaged bike. Alright, here guys, here's my conclusion to the review. So I made a couple of conclusions about this bike in general. I think this is the leader of the touring bike segment. I would even say it's better than like the Ducatis, the Triumphs. I think it's better than all of the other touring bikes. I've ridden a lot of them from the dealers. This bike just has so much technology on board. It handles so well. It has the best stability control system on the market. It has one of the best semi-active suspensions. The braking system feels great. The motor revs up really nicely. I think this is the best package. Even though it's a little bit on the pricey side, I would still say it's the best value for your money. you get what you pay for in terms of BMW quality. My dad just had some maintenance work done at the BMW dealer. They're really nice guys. They really take care of you in terms of motorcycles. I'm not sure about the cars, but you get what you pay for in terms of bike and in terms of quality. This bike, even though it costs a lot, is possibly the greatest bike I've ridden. And we have the K1200GS over there, the Bandit over there, and we have a BMW R1200GS over here. Out of all the bikes that I have access to, I think this is my favorite, even though it's really hard to ride. My dad won't let me ride it that often. So this has been John Hurley, and you've been watching my channel.